Hey everybody, it's Tatiana with Back to Facts. I'm an award-winning journalist, and I'm here to talk about possible corruption in the Trump family as well as nepotism. But first, I want to remind you to please tap the subscribe button if you like what you're hearing and watching, as well as tap the bell for notifications so that you don't miss a thing. Many of you know that I have already done a series on the Biden family and Ukraine, which includes the broader pattern of corruption in Ukraine, as well as an article on Hunter Biden's business partners were convicted of defrauding an Oglala Sioux Indian tribe in South Dakota, Pine Ridge, South Dakota. What they were doing is offering the tribal elders a bond issue that would enable them to have a steady income to apply to repairs and much needed improvements in the community. Now, Hunter Biden was never indicted or brought in or brought to trial, but his longtime business partner was Devon Archer, the one that was on the board with him of Burisma holding company in Ukraine, the natural gas company. In that trial about the Oglala Sioux tribe, there was evidence. Among the evidence that came out in that trial of Devon Archer and 6 other co-conspirators was bank statements from Morgan Stanley. Hunter Biden, whose real name is Robert Hunter Biden, his name was all over the Morgan Stanley statements because the Morgan Stanley bank account was in the name of Rosemont Seneca Bohai LLC. Rosemont Seneca was an investment managing firm. Devon Archer, Hunter Biden, and Chris Hines, who was the stepson of John Kerry because John Kerry had married Teresa Heinz of the Heinz Ketchup fortune. The 3 young men founded Rosemont Seneca in 2009 after Barack Obama and Joe Biden won the presidency. Archer and Heinz were roommates at Yale, and they were friends with Hunter Biden, who also went to Yale. Instead of helping the Oglala Sioux tribe, what ended up happening is these guys with their partners bought up a bunch of firms that were on all sides of the deal, so that in fact it became a big Ponzi scheme. So emails show that Devon Archer, business partner with Hunter Biden for a long time, was brought into the Indian tribe bond scheme by people he knew pretty well and people he did not know. There were 7 co-conspirators in all, but they had one thing in common. That was they needed to raise cash and capital to put into various businesses as well as personal expenses. And they were really excited about this. So Hunter Biden was only peripherally involved in the tribal bond deal, or so it appeared. We really don't know. However, it kind of does seem like the SEC and the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office, that they kind of were bending over backwards to avoid including Hunter Biden. So it seems pretty provable that Hunter Biden wasn't extremely involved in the tribal bond scheme, but there are some connections. And it's just a little bit curious that the SEC, as well as the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office, did not look into his role there. It's almost like they went out of their way to avoid it. Read all about it in my article on backtofacts.com, link in the description below. I wanted to look into the Trump children's potential for nepotism and corruption. That's often brought up. It's been talked about a lot since the inauguration of President Trump. So I decided I would start with Ivanka Trump's patents in China, quote unquote. So when I looked into Ivanka Trump's dealings in China, I noticed that there were 2 main article streams or events that happened March 2017 and about July 2018. Both of them had to do with China awarding patents to Ivanka Trump, or actually they were trademarks. So why would anybody get a trademark in China? Well, maybe we should ask Michael Jordan. In fact, it took me a while to find this because it was not in mainstream media. But I found out that there is an issue in China of squatters who take the names of celebrities in the West and jump on the trademark before the celebrity can get that trademark. Businesses in China could profit off of your name without you being able to do anything about it unless you went ahead and preemptively got a trademark for certain products. Now, in 2018, there were articles about Ivanka Trump getting patents for caskets, funeral caskets, sausage casings, I kid you not, and craziest of all, voting machines in China. Or maybe made in China and brought over here. No, this is all hypothetical. It's in the future. So it took me a while to figure out that trademark squatting is a big problem in China that has affected a lot of celebrities. And so that would make sense why Ivanka Trump and her lawyers would preemptively get trademarks on a lot of random things. But here in mainstream media, it was presented as a very sinister plot. Oddly enough, I found a very detailed explanation of the situation in the Washington Post, November 6, 2018. So they are the first article that I found that talks about trademark squatting. The funny part is, all the other articles said that the trademarks were fast-tracked, but in fact, this article in the Washington Post says the approvals were granted 2.5 years after Ivanka Trump's company applied, which is far longer than the average processing time of a year or less, said Hao Junbo, a trademark lawyer at the Hao law firm in Beijing. It's impossible to rule out political factors because the approval period indeed took quite long, and the timing of it came just right, Hao said, referring to the premise that Beijing made a conciliatory gesture after trade frictions took a marked turn for the worse in September. So there's a premise, passive voice, that Beijing made a conciliatory gesture toward the Trump administration. Quote, on the other hand, Hao added, there's no evidence of anything unusual. With these matters, you could never confirm one narrative or another. This whole series of articles started with a watchdog group in Washington named Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. I don't know who runs them or who funds them, but they're the ones who pointed out these filings, and then it just took hold in the mainstream media. Funny thing is, when they first pointed them out, it was fast-tracked for her. Yeah, later on they said, well, it was delayed and it was timed just right. So what we got to look at is intent. We got to look at, was China just doing this as an insurance policy because they were wary of the Trump administration? Well, given the fact that trademark squatting is a big problem, it's really not possible to prove malintent on the part of Ivanka Trump. Neither is it possible to prove that Hunter Biden knowingly defrauded an Indian tribe. However, it is possible, with a little bit of digging, to show that the Obama administration and the Justice Department under him completely avoided looking into Hunter when his business partner was knee-deep in it. However, there's a lot more evidence of Hunter Biden's involvement in China with Rosemont Seneca Bohai Limited, the LLC that was founded to be an investment advisor, partnering up with the Bank of China International. So that is provable, and there are connections with Defense Department intellectual property theft. The portfolio that Hunter Biden and Devon Archer received to manage with very highly placed Chinese officials was $1.5 billion. Did he receive that money directly? No. But the deal itself involved a lot of conflicts of interest, actually. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Bevan Cooney was a co-conspirator with Devon Archer, and he was best friends with Jason Galanis, who was one of the main guys doing that defrauding of the Indian tribe. So Bevan Cooney recently released 26,000 emails from his prison cell in federal prison. He authorized a reporter to share those emails. Some of those emails show that Joe Biden was a lot more involved in his son's foreign business dealings than he had suggested before. In fact, he received a cut of those dealings. And text messages revealed that Hunter feels like nobody appreciates him because he's supporting the family with his business dealings. Biden family business. Aside from the fact that false equivalency is not a good look when trying to excuse your preferred politician's misdealings, the comparison of Ivanka Trump to Hunter Biden is one of scale. I mean, there's no evidence of money being exchanged by Ivanka Trump, but there is evidence of Hunter Biden getting several $1 million in various foreign investments that he then shared with his dad. Those are in bank statements. Ivanka Trump, I've watched her. There's a general idea that she's empty, vapid, whatever people want to project onto her. But the fact is, she's been working for 3.5 years for America's workers. High-tech training in states like Alabama that had a horrible unemployment rate, and now the unemployment rate in Alabama, it reached 1.3% in 2019. And this is high-tech factories. This stuff is going on, and the media is not reporting about it. So I was actually very impressed with what she's been doing. So I just wanted to share the results of my research. I have been searching with due diligence and an effort to find wrongdoing no matter where I find it. And what I've found is that there's a lot of evidence that the Bidens were compromised by China, but there's not much evidence that any money exchanged hands to Ivanka Trump because her business was closed. She applied for the patents in 2016. They came through in 2017 and 2018, and her business is now closed. And all the articles that were acting like this was a really big deal said that they were just, the ethics watchdogs were just worried about how she could profit from these patents once Trump is out of office. How disgusting, right? As if Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden haven't profited from theirs. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my look into nepotism and corruption in the American government. It's a little snapshot, a little slice of it. So let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel, support, and share whenever you feel so moved. And click the bell for notifications so you don't miss any videos. Take care. Godspeed.